Welcome to this week's video on my blog, and because I'm on holiday I decided to edit this video that I actually filmed back in November, and it was for a challenge blog, and it's a very sweet and simple page. So you can see there are strips of colored paper there, and what I did was I used gelatos just to make a couple of paint strips, but in the end I did not use them. I thought to layer them in between 6x6 inch pattern papers, but I didn't do that in the end. So what I wanted to do was just to create a rainbow strip of pattern paper. And if you have seen my work before, you know that this is one of my favorite techniques to use. So I went through all my 6x6 inch paper pads and found papers that ranged from blue, green, orange. You can see there different colors. Actually, if you look at the top of the video, you can see there a little color palette, and that was what I was using. I recently discovered a paper pad by Studio Calico called Lemon Lush, and let me tell you, if you're looking for rainbow colors, that is the perfect little paper pad to get, because it has beautiful yellows, lime greens, and purple, which is very hard to find. You can't find purple paper anywhere. Well, if you look closely, you can see that I did use 2 strips of the gelato colored paper, and it's the green and the blue. So I'm just layering them on top of each other, like you can see there. And now I'm going to add my photograph and add some embellishments. So what I was thinking is I'm going to sew the papers down and just create a interesting effect with the borders of the papers, and you will see that later. I'm using some photo corners to adhere my photo, and again, one of my favorite things to do. And deciding where to place the photograph. And I used my silhouette, and I bought a cut file off of Silhouette store, butterflies, and I just cut a bunch of butterflies, and I'm just going to adhere them right in the middle between the photograph and the pattern paper. And I'm using hot glue just to adhere it, as you can see there. By now you know how much I love hot glue, and I think I've used up a couple of hot glue guns in my life, and I have a few burns to show as well. So just be careful when you work with hot glue. And now I'm just distressing the edges of the papers, not the borders, sorry. So I'm just folding over the edges of the papers, and already you can see how interesting the texture is that's happening on the page. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to embellish it a little bit. That's a sticker by Glitz, the Finley collection, which I love. And I wanted to add a focus element to the page, which was this flower by, I think it's Crate Paper, I'm not entirely sure, or Maggie Holmes, I'm not sure. So what I did was I used the flower, but it was too red for me, and I wanted to tone it down. So I just painted some thick acrylic paint on it. And this is a very cool idea to add also a little bit more texture to a page, because acrylic paint dries relatively quick. And you can see I'm just filling in the edges there a little bit. And it looked so pretty, because acrylic paint is a little shiny as well once it's dry. So it's really pretty. Right, and now I just going to run it through my sewing machine, and I'm making the lines a little longer so that they end at the end of the photograph. So I'm just going to sew it down every edge of the paper. I have a sewing machine dedicated to my scrapbooking, and you can see by the duct tape on there that it's been through a lot. I think there's paint and glue and every imaginable thing you can think of is on that machine. But I love it and it works perfectly. Here's a close-up with I always want to say suturing. Maybe it's because I've been married to a doctor for way too long. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, maybe not long enough. So the sewing, and you can see I'm just tracing the edges again just a little bit. And on the bottom, beneath my photograph, you can see how the stitching is going across the page, and my thinking was that I'm going to add some journaling in there somewhere. So there's the page, and the flower is dry, so I'm just going to adhere it. And then I found these Making Memories label holders, and I love label holders. I have a whole drawer full of them. I don't use them nearly enough, and I'm going to just add a little label holder there and use one of the gelato colored papers as the background, just to write my title in. And once that's done, I'm just going to use Mr. Yui's. It's, I don't know exactly the color, but it's the hunter's green. It's really a dark green. Just paint splatters here and there. It just makes a page pop to put those dark splatters there. And if you're really scared to do it, just cover your photograph, which is always a good idea. I wish I would listen to my own advice before you splatter, because you might just put it in the middle of someone's face. And don't ask me how I know that. So almost done with the page, and I think it just needs the journaling now. And I'm going to print out a couple of phrases there you can see on just plain white paper, and I'm going to eyeball it and cut it out. And now I'm just going to adhere it to the page, but I'm going to do it with hot glue and in a wavy manner, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So I'm just finding the perfect spot for that. And this page is about what inspires me, and I just thought I'll write a couple of things down. So I'm putting a dot right in the beginning of the strip of paper, and then one a little further down, and then when you put it down, you just want to fold it over a little. You can see in the finished page exactly how it just makes a little wave, which is cool. Now I'm just going to cut the page a little smaller because I want to mount it on the background. And in the end, I decided the blue background was too dark, and I decided to go with a light chevron gray background, almost like that one, but not quite. So thank you so much for watching another video. This one is short and sweet, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next week on the same place, same time. This is Wilna, and I love hot glue.